Hello, Internet. Welcome back to Nerdlocker Comic Book Reviews. I am starting off with Justice League 35. I have to say, this has been a very awesome storyline. I kind of wasn't sure on the whole, like, oh man, Lex Luthor's a good guy, but he's not. And you see the Justice League still, like, keeping that keen in their brains. Like, okay, well, he's going to mess up. And when he messes up, we're going to get him. And they try to catch him in this issue. But it turns out he has something. I don't know. They haven't explained what it is yet or what it does. But it's going to be a huge quarantine these next couple of issues, with the Justice League basically being at ground zero of the Amazovirus. As much as I was against the New 52 and a lot of things I didn't like, there are some neat little retcons like this, like the Amazovirus. And I like the kind of different ideas that have come out of this. So it's not all bad. I do have to say, one point of this that I absolutely love is Jeff Johns writing Shazam. I think he just captures Billy Batson so well. It's outstanding. Just his dialogue and kind of like the attitude he has, where he's on the Justice League, but he's still like 12, 13-year-old kid just inside the body of this powerful person. It's really cool. It's really well done. Justice League is definitely one of the books I've stayed on with in the New 52. I suggest you pick this up. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, guys, Cubby here with my review for Avengers World number 14. Yeah, 14. Either way. Now, the last couple, I want to say like the last 13 issues have been kind of like all over the place, a lot of things going on. What's cool about it is it's all Avengers teams in this grand scheme of things that Tony Stark and Captain America were trying to create this giant Avengers world. They were all handling all their things, and it turns out everything was kind of like connected. Everything comes together at this end, this last issue. All these things get wrapped up. It's actually pretty sweet, and it's pretty cool, and all the things that have been building up kind of come to a head. So for closure's sake, it was a great issue. The artwork was actually even amazing compared to a lot of other stuff that came out this week, Axis. Overall, it was just a great Avengers story, great Avengers tale. It ends with a nice big splash page of a ton of Avengers, pretty much all of them right now in the current roster. And it's pretty sweet. It was actually a really good wrap-up. So I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. And I'm going to ask you to read this whole series, because I think it's still going. But up to this point, it's pretty awesome. So do that.
Hey fellow nerds, Jasper here, and I just got done reading Batman Superman issue 15. Now, first and foremost, I never got a chance to read issue 14 and didn't know the whole story plot entirely. So going into this book was cool in a sense. So we go into this issue with Satanus and Chaosbringer playing chess with Batman and Superman as they somehow erase their memory. And what I liked about the book is they don't know who they are, but in a sense they know the lore of themselves. They know what they've done, but they just don't know how to be that person. So you go throughout the issue of them trying to be who they are without entirely knowing how to do so. But before I even get to it, I need to say one thing. Why does Superman look like Namor? That was the first thing off the page. The moment I see that panel and I see Superman, it was kind of crazy. And that was the only thing I could think of was Super Namor. But going back to the issue, somehow Catwoman ends up teaming up with Superman, Lois ends up teaming up with Batman, and they both respectively try to take down Magnubat, which is this crazy cyborg. But somehow the whole point of the book was the fact that this whole chess game was to see whether or not they can regain the sensibility of who they are. And that's what I did like about it. The artwork wasn't necessarily the greatest. There was a few things that I kind of felt was kind of pushed. But there was action sequences, but it wasn't something that I really fully enjoyed. But see for yourself. I'm going to give it a 3. Definitely check it out because it's cool how the book ends, but respectively, not the greatest thing. So check it out.
All right, guys, I got to read Batman Eternal, number 28. This story is still outstanding. We're finally starting to see things reach a turning point to where these characters are going to change and certain things are going to happen with them that we may see in that preview. First and foremost, I love that just the expansion of the Bat family that it really wasn't in this issue, but it's just an overall theme that you can see growing in here with Harper and, a few other people. Obviously, Alfred's daughter, which is awesome. The villains in this are doing a great role as well. I think we're about to go back to Arkham, which it's just like it's this whole other problem going on in Gotham right now that Batman is not aware to at all. I mean, with everything going on with Commissioner Bard and all the corruption and Hush and all this, it's like there's some heavy stuff going on in Arkham Asylum right now, and no one even knows about it. So I'm interested to see where this goes. It's still a really, really good read. If you're a Batman fan, you should be reading this. I'm giving this 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, guys. So I got to read Future's End number 24 as well this week. It's kind of same thing with last week. There were some cool parts in it. Things moving on up and kind of getting crazy. But at the same time, it was like just a little short of being ridiculously awesome. The ending was sweet, and I can't wait for next issue, but I was hoping I'd get more from that. And like certain characters are going crazy and it's nuts, and like other stuff's happening, it's crazy. Like, it's a good story if you're into like this really kinetic storytelling. It's coming at you, it's coming at you, it's coming at you. And again, it doesn't really look that bad for being a weekly book. Drawn very consistently and very awesomely, and even better than most books that came out this week. Axis. Either way, it's really fun. It's a great ride. Frankenstein's awesome. I gotta love him. But a lot of the other characters that are being introduced in this, and the surprises that you see, Superman, all these other people. Superman with a beard is just so sweet. It's so cool. And he totally has a beard in this, and it's awesome. So for that, I'm giving it 5 Nerd Skulls. Check it out.
All right, guys, I got to read Edge of the SpiderVerse, number 5. And I was so excited to read this because it's written by Gerard Way, who I've been a complete fanboy of since like 8th grade. Yeah, I think that's when or freshman year. Either way, it's been a long time. I've always loved him writing comics. I've always been a fan of his, so I like to see that he's breaking into some of these mainstream books. This is cool because, he's done his stuff here and there. But this is a really good issue. It seems like a character he would want to do with the Spider-Man thing, where it's SP//DR, and it's a younger girl who's actually involved in this, and she's getting dragged into the whole Spider-Verse fight, which is something else I'm really excited about. I've talked about it before, but the fact that Spider-Man's finally getting this multi-dimensional recognition that you only really see with the Avengers and the X-Men, and it's really cool to see this and different not else worlds, but alternate timeline storylines, whatever they call it in Marvel, characters come into the fold. There's a fan favorite Spider-Man in this issue, and I don't want to ruin it because it's cool, and I actually hope to see more of them because I'd like to see how this Spider-Man in particular plays into everything. But it was a fun read. This was a fun little mini-series, and I suggest you guys read this. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, guys, so I got to read New Avengers number 25 as well this week. Now, with the ending of last issue being one of the craziest jaw-dropping moments of the last year in comics for me personally, just because you don't know what's going on, and you finally get your first clues, and you're seeing everything 8 months later. Now the story is kind of going a little farther, and you're getting more about what happened with the people that are being looked for, and kind of answers into that. You don't really get too much of the middle part, but you definitely get some tidbits as to what's coming up in current Marvel DC or Marvel lore, right? I guess this is what you would say. Either way, it's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet. The whole thing that's going on, the way the powers are being used, the way the smarts are being used, and this ending of just kind of whoa, dude, that's crazy. I like this. This is Hickman, Avengers stuff at its finest, picking up plot points from stories that he did years ago that you knew were going to come in sooner or later, and now that they're finally here, even though it's a really small kind of thing in the very beginning, it's a very small, not really small, but it's oh, cool, that's awesome. I read S.H.I.E.L.D. and that was sweet. I can't believe that's there now. Awesome. Other than that, that makes me love comic books pretty much. that's what I love about it. And that's what I love about this and his whole take on the Avengers. He's put in a lot of like lore and things into it that make you want to pick up every issue so that way you don't miss anything. I love that. Love that. That's one of my favorite qualities. And the artwork in this was amazing. Really, really good. Like really almost like, I can't explain it. Like almost like John Romita Jr., but not completely like dumb looking. So whatever. Either way, check it out, guys. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls because it was sick.
All right, guys, I got to read Manifest Destiny number 11, which is right now my favorite independent comic book. And that is saying a lot because there's a lot of good stuff out there right now. Huge fan of East to West. First issue of Witches was really good. Everything's just really good independent right now, but this book especially pulled me in. I read it on a whim. Someone suggested it at Maximum Comics here in Las Vegas, and I read it, and it was outstanding. I've been hooked ever since. I like eagerly await each issue. And this one we finally see a kind of like, you know, this is it with the giant creature in the water that's been coming up and eating people and doing some stuff. And it's just awesome. Like, I love everything about this book and how it's like each time they get through something, they're like, man, that sucked and it's probably going to get worse. And that makes me so stoked for the book because, like, I just want to see where they go with this. It's such a cool idea. For those of you that aren't reading, it's Lewis and Clark and what they found in it, like actually found in America. And it's awesome. And I love it. I can't say enough good things about this. You guys need to be checking this out. I figure they'll probably be doing a second volume here soon, maybe one more issue. Image seems to get those volumes out pretty quickly. So if you read it like that, pick them up. But guys, check this out. It's an outstanding book. This is 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, guys, so I also got to read Axis number 2 this week. Very stoked that this is almost like a weekly thing, I guess. Next week is the next one. I want to say, I forgot what the preview was for, but either way. Oh my God, what a last page. The whole thing is really crazy. It's not as, it doesn't slowly bring you in like the first issue does. It really just throws you into the fire because you've been there already and everything started going. So of course it's going to pick it back up and everything's just completely falling to pieces. Everything is falling to pieces, which is awesome. These heroes getting their backs pushed up against the wall and the things that they have to do to kind of like combat that and come back with it. And the build up to the end is very, very like rewarding. I was almost like, oh, this is going to suck. This is going to suck. Like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Oh, snap kind of moment. So if you like that in a comic book, which I'm pretty sure most people do, then check this out because that made it awesome. Other than that, the artwork, I gotta say, was not happening for me. It was okay in some parts, but then there was other parts that I felt could have been just prettier. Like, it works for this story, but at the same time, I want it to look like an event book should. I mean, nothing against Q-Birds, but like it doesn't have like a crazy pop to it. Some of it looks really rushed or really gross and dirty. And I mean, I guess you can get away with the fact that like these people are moving at like superhuman speeds. Oh my God, that makes sense. But I want detail. I want an awesome artist. I don't care how delayed it is, especially if you can't. Either way, I just want really good artwork in a big book like this, and it doesn't have that all the time. So it sucks on that aspect. So I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls, and that's being generous, I feel, because that artwork was bad.
Hey guys, Brandon from Nerdlocker here, and if you like the review you just saw, why don't you check out some more of our reviews over here, right on the side, through the magic of editing.